Take two. Good morning. How is everybody today? It is September 12th, and I think it's a Wednesday. No, Tuesday? Tuesday, September 12th. And let's get right into it. We'll continue on with our study on the interior stages, the stages of the interior life, and focus on that, because again, it's so important to have that connection with the Trinitarian Theophany, in especially with Catholic contemplation and understanding the virtues and putting them all together. Like I was listening to a video last night, there's no more depth in quote unquote homilies anymore, and that's what I'm trying to make this kind of deep. For some it may be kind of dry, but if you really concentrate, for those who are really looking for that true union with God, these are the methods and the paths to get there sincerely. And there's a lot of other distractions along the way that we can get caught up in, including myself, with exciting things, prophecy and stuff like that. Again, those are actually the lesser paths. Those are more for those people who they know something's wrong. They haven't been that committed, but then they hear about something like that, and they say, well, maybe now's the time I should start to move, and they do. So let's get right into it, like I said. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostra, et Emisum Christum, et in Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of God and in Catholic contemplation, humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and adorable Trinity, one God in three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I adore thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O God, Our Lady, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I have offended thee, my God, who art good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. And again, I want to encourage everyone to do spiritual cleansing, like we're doing here by learning about the 3 ages of the interior life, but also do bodily cleansing. And I was speaking with a friend who came from Belize, and they were saying how they do the body cleansing, like in other countries, almost on a regular basis to rid themselves of parasites and toxins. And so I'm in the middle of another parasite cleanse, and again, it's going very well, and I highly recommend that people do that. And I also found another product that is working very well. It's an herbal concoction, and it goes well with orange juice. All right, so we'll continue on here. Conformity to the divine will. Since such is the nature of charity, what are the indications of its progress? There are, first of all, the signs of the state of grace. 1. Not to be conscious of any mortal sin. 2. Not to seek earthly things, pleasures, wealth, or honors. 3. To take pleasure in the presence of God. To love, to think of God, adore God, pray to God, thank God, ask pardon of God, talk to God, and aspire to God. To these signs must be added the following. Number 4, to wish to please God more than all those whom one loves. 5, to love one's neighbor effectively, in spite of the defects which are in him, as they are in us, and to love him, our neighbor, because he is the child of God and is beloved by God. Then one loves God in one's neighbor, and one's neighbor in God. Christ said, God, Deum Iusum Christum, says, by this shall all men know that you are mine, if you have love for one another. Happy is the heart that loves God in this manner, without any other pleasure than that which it has in pleasing God. If the soul is faithful, it will one day taste the delights of this love and take an unequaled happiness in the Trinitarian Theophany, who is limitless good. The infinite plenitude of good into which the soul may plunge and lose itself as in a spiritual ocean without ever meeting with any obstacle. Thus the just man begins to love God with a love of esteem, appreciative love, above all things, and he tends to love the Trinitarian Theophany above all intensively with the ardent zeal which perseveres in aridity in the midst of trials and persecutions. Subchapter: the love of God and our natural dispositions. But it will be objected, there are harsh, rude, bitter characters little inclined to affection. How therefore does what we have just said apply to them? St. Francis de Sales replies to this objection as St. Thomas does, stating that one cannot admit without falling into the naturalism of the Pelagians, that the distribution of divine love is made to men according to their natural qualities and dispositions. St. Francis de Sales adds, the supernatural love which God by his goodness pours into our hearts is in the supreme point of the ghost, which is independent of every natural character. It is nevertheless true that naturally loving souls, once they are well purified of the love of creatures, do marvels in holy love, love finding a great ease in dilating itself in all the faculties of their hearts. Thence proceeds a very agreeable sweetness, which does not appear in those whose souls are harsh, melancholy, and untractable. Nevertheless, if two persons, one of whom is loving and gentle, the other naturally fretful and bitter, have an equal charity, they will doubtless love God equally, but not similarly. The heart that is naturally gentle will love more easily, amiably, sweetly, but not more solidly and more perfectly. Thus the love which will arise among the thorns and repugnances of a harsh and cold nature will be braver and more glorious, as the other will be more delightful and charming. It matters little, then, whether one is naturally disposed to love when it is a question of a supernatural love by which one acts only supernaturally. Only theotime. I don't know what that, it's capitalized. I don't know what that is, whether it's a man's name. I would gladly say to all men, O mortals, if your hearts are inclined to love, why do you not aspire to celestial and divine love? But if you are harsh and bitter of heart, poor souls, since you are deprived of natural love, why do you not aspire to supernatural love, which will lovingly be given you by the Trinitarian Theophany, who calls you in so holy a manner to love? The Trinitarian Theophany. From this doctrine on the relation of the life of grace and of our natural dispositions spring consequences of great importance in mystical theology. We'll stop there for today. Tomorrow is progressive conformity to the signified divine will. That's a mouthful. Progressive conformity to the signified divine will. Let's see what that's all about. Okay. Have courage. Deum vobiscum, e quoque apotei. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hoc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuos offeriti Deum meum vivum et verum, pro inabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi edidis proficiat salutem. Deum qui humani substanti dignitate mirabilito condidisi mirabilis reformaste de nobis spiritus aquae divinium, eius divinitatis esse consortis qui minitatis nostrae fiat dignatis spiriceps. Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum viviet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Ferimus tibi Deum calicem, saitaris tuum deprecantis clementium, multum conspecto divine majestatis tuae pro nostra, totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contritus suscipiam rate Deum Iesum Christum, et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum ec aspectu tuo hodie, placia tibi Deum matronam nostri et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni Sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et benedicit oblata prosequendo, et acepere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas, sanct oblationem quam tibi efferimus, ob memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum. Et in honorem Deum matronam nostri et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Istorum et omnem Sanctorum, utilis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem et idi pro nobis intercedere, dini inter in celis, quorum amore magimus in telis, pedinum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meum ec vestrum sacrificium, acceptabile fiat apud Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudem et gloriam, nomini sui audituditatem, quoque nostram, totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda, habemus a Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te ituto clementissime Mater et Pater, Deum Matram Nostre, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum Nostre, supplices argamus ac petimus, ut ecite bes et benedicas ex sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primis quae tibi efferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam, catholicam, quam pacificare custodire ad honore, et regere dignitis tot orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famulumque tuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. Pray for Katie, Gage, Mark Jr., Casey, Maria, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara Benedict, and Robert Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, Zenedo Luis and Amparo Cantu, Julian Galavis, Luis Antonio Cantu, the Duarte families, the Lineweber family, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron, and family, the Dasco, Nye, Tafur, Began, and Wolf families. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantes Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, or child sexual abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange, and to be set up via courageous men who step forward and raise themselves to the Catholic virtues. We ask for all these other intentions to be considered according to God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium, quorum tibi fides cognita est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi afferimus, ver qui tibi affront hoc sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione anamarum suarum prospe salutis et ingulammitatis suae, tibi curedunt vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Also, I'd like to add to those intentions specifically for those who are considering getting married, that the fiancés all ascend to the truths of the Trinitarian Theophany and OurLadyIsGod.com's information. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes, in primis gloriose semper Dei matronam nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum Martyrium Torum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis precibusque concedas ut in omnibus protectiones Tue muniam exidio per in Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus consecratium acceptabilem configere dignitis ut nobis corpum et sanguinem fiat dictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pastoretur recepit panem in sancta sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecrave frigit dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens, et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentis manus suas sit in tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecrave dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et bibite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum, hic ut essium proficitis in meum facetis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta iustum Christum filium tuum, Deum nostri tambe et passionis, nec non et ab inferis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriosi ascensionis afferimus, preclare maestati tuis donis actatis, suproque popizzo axare novutur respicieri digneris. Supplices teragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic perferi per manus tuum ut quod, executatis participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium Tuum, corpus et sanguinum subsenimus, omni benedictione celesti et gratia repe amor, per indum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for John LaPlante, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum crescentibum, locum refugere lucis et pacis ut unto gesta proclamar per indum Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem haec omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedictis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Dea Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea Matronum Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea Matronum Nostrae, Materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beate gloriosa semper Dea Matronum Nostrae. Cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in diebus nostris. Utopi misericordiae tui aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbationis securi. Per indum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tigem vivet et renat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum, Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apete. Hic mixtio consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat accipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, qua parante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum abonibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper inhalare mandatis, et ad nunquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in summa repressum non mihi proveniat, in judicium condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate, prosit mihi et tutum medis corporis et ad medem percipiendam, qui bibis et reinas cum Deum matronam nostra in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Dea matronam nostrae non sunt dignus, uditus ut et me absent ante verbis patronum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, uditus ut et me absent ante verbis patronum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, uditus ut et me absent ante verbis patronum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quaedura tribum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus queritud mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem in nome Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvacero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quod ore subsimus Deum Iesum Christum piedemente capiamus et immunere temperae fiat nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sumpsit sanguis quam pataviae reficeribus meis et presta, ut in me non remeniat scelera macula quam pura sancta reficione sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te. Oremus. O Deum Iesum Christum, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell. Lead souls to heaven, especially those in purgatory, and who are most abandoned. And may the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ite mises Deum gratia. Placeat tibi, Sancta Trinitam, obsequem servitutis meae, presa ut sacrificium corroculis tuae majestatis in unus opturi tibis et retatanem et omnibus, pro quibus irut optolecit miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam nostri et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. O Deum Matronam Nostrae, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love thee. O Deum Iesum Christum, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love thee. O Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, I adore thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the Immaculate Heart of God, Our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum, Matronam Nostri, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. And if there are any new people watching, welcome. Highly recommend you check out the website and learn about OurLadyIsGod.com. Okay, we have great information there. And one thing I wanted to mention is with a lot of trad Catholics, we'll call them trad, who come, they usually come, they're not completely satisfied. They knew Novus Ordo was definitely not, was well, we'll just leave it there, was not, I'm trying to be charitable here, is not the way to go. So they went and stayed with traditional, and then we learn that something doesn't feel quite right there. And this has been the path of most of us here anyway. And then we discover OurLadyIsGod.com. And one thing I wanted to mention is I see that with traditionalists, they get stuck on Trent, the Council of Trent, okay? And the key that Mr. Nobody unlocked was you have to go before that, okay? Council of Trent was one of the worst things to occur to the church, and it's the irony with the trads is that they think it was the best thing. So it takes discernment, contemplation, and study, and faith. Okay, and then things become to clarity. All right, so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll continue on educating and instructing and praying, most importantly. Praying the Rosary 150. As we always say, time is short, okay? Time is short. Please go and sanctify all those who you meet today, and we'll see you tomorrow.